conversation, it brought up really serious concerns with governance, and how governance is like implemented and executed and maintained. And so, is governance, whether it's like DAO governance or blockchain governance and like more broadly, is that something that you think about? And do you have kind of thoughts on it?
I mean, I have some thoughts on it, but they're like pretty much without any merit. Like I don't want to pretend like I know anything about governance or anything. Like,
does anyone actually know? Like, don't discredit yourself, because I think a lot of people talk out of their ass when they have no area or space to be talking either. So
yeah, it's true, but a lot of people like have fooled themselves into believing that they know, how shit works. Like, you know how when like blockchain started, or like when Ethereum took off, everybody suddenly became a fucking crypto economist.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody's like a game theory fucking expert. It's like people just like fucking lie to themselves so hard that they believe their lies, and they think they're like fucking experts at human behavior and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So I mean, I just
do
like
know. I do know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to preface with that. For people out there, I don't believe that I know anything about this, but I have thoughts about it because I'm a human being.
Leave him alone.
But yeah, I don't know. Governance is like, I don't know. It's not super interesting to me because I think it's too big of a topic to tackle. People like governance is such a huge fucking word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's idea of governance is different. Like whether governance works or not. It's like for the ENS situation, some people would say governance, the governance system there is working correctly. Some people say it's not. Like I think recently I saw on Twitter that I forgot his name, but like the guy who is the director of whatever at ENS,
the one that they're voting to replace.
Yeah, the one that they're voting to replace. So they voted not to replace him.
Yeah, Brantley.
Yeah, they voted not to replace him. And, to some people, that would be a failure in governance. And to some other people, it would be a success in governance. So it's so subjective. It's like, yeah.
Do you think governance is destined, or not even destined, do you think governance is subjective?
I think it's very subjective. And I think people don't know what they want either.
Ooh, let's
yeah,
talk about that.
I have a strong. That's like one of my like spicy theories.
Let's talk about it.
I think like 90, like there are exceptions to people, but I think like 90% of people don't care about democracy, or like, you know what I mean?
I do.
I feel like people only care about. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Like, but I don't know. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. Let's explore this.
I also know. I'm sure, at least on that level of talking point, that people don't care. And of course, I have my own list of like caveats and bullet points under that. But I that kind of high level point, I do agree with. But
I just think people want like they want like the best for themselves, and I feel like people not only, but. And I don't say people as in everybody, but a lot of people only care about this democracy and having their voice heard when things are going not their way. I think if given the choice, like 95% of people would be okay with like, a benevolent dictator, for example. And that's like, you can see that in a lot of countries, I think. Like, for example, like Singapore is like a very good example of this. Like they lack a lot of freedoms and their elections are basically a sham, but a majority of people are happy because their dictator is not fucking off his shit, and that, I don't know, I believe that's potentially true, like just in general, that as long as you're not getting your shit fucked, like you don't really care, as long as like somebody's working for you. I don't know. Curious to hear your takes on that, though. It's one of those things I don't say too often because I don't really talk about governance and all that stuff.
Well, now it's cemented on the internet, so.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually went on I have a whole Twitter thread that I did this morning on this. It's funny, I just started just like hot takes full on Twitter, just like batshit out the gate, just like sharing my thoughts, just to get like let's just see how it goes. But no, I in response actually to the Brantley situation. So a friend of mine is a delegate. A very dear friend of mine is a delegate. Got caught up in the crossfire and was having to like defend themselves. And of course, like I'm a guard dog. I'm a mama bear. I will always like fight for my folks. And so I tried to fight this time, not directly. I fought indirectly. So I didn't go on people's threads, but I gave my own thoughts as to how I think governance right now is ass. And I think a few things. One, I agree that most people just want to like look out for themselves and make sure like they're fine and people don't care until things get bad. I think there is a group of people, and I kind of feel like maybe I'm actually in more of the second camp, where I think there is a small group of people that are probably like, I don't know if you call them like empaths or high, there's like HSP, like high sensitivity person, or like, I think there is a group of people that is a vast minority, I would say, that is always watching and is aware, and is likely going to call things out. And I think that comes from, at least for me, that comes from like, I've experienced a lot of shit, either first degree or second degree, right? From like, either like I've experienced it or people that I care about have experienced it. And so like, I hold a lot of realities and like, concerns. And so I am always kind of on like high alert. I think most people are not, right? Like that, I think that's like, and that's fine. I'm not saying everyone should feel everything and be aware of everyone's traumas. But I think that like for most people, they just want to like do right by themselves and like not cause problems. I think most people don't want to go to protests. I think most people like don't really want to like, I think even in governance, like I don't think everyone wants to vote on everything. That's why we have a semi like representative, the word democracy, some experts wouldn't even apply it to the United States right now, but like in the US, like we don't really actually have a full proper democracy. We have a representative democracy, and I would even argue that like that's a stretch of the use of the term. But I actually think most people don't care. I remember ranting about this early on when people were talking about like blockchain for like impact and like wanting to create applications for like women in Africa to like be empowered, and then they're gonna like, vote on all the, and I was like, you think a mother in Africa, like in rural, like what you're envisioning, like a rural, disconnected, in a village, maybe illiterate woman is gonna like get on her non-existent, whatever fucking, if we're assuming that they're like the poorest of the poor, right? We're just gonna be like, oh, and they're just gonna like whip out their iPhone and then vote on a nice, easy UI mobile app on like every governance decision that, for a platform that manages their digital identity. And I just kind of like popped off, and I was just like, that's just like not it. And so I think like that's like an element of it. I think that people don't understand the responsibility of participating in governance. So that's all on like the people side, like the individual side, or like the, kind of the group being represented. I think on the people that are designing the system, which is the rant that I went on earlier, it has been like governance, this is fucking like, this is what philosophy is, no? Like governance has been documented. Experiments have been documented. Like things have been iterated upon. Like there is very little that is new under the sun, right? And I find it shocking when people just start building systems without doing a bit of like at least minimal desk research to develop their system, to learn maybe like best practices or like what not to do, or like basic things. For example, like building a system that is not set up for like user engagement or, participatory like engagement, then no one's going to participate. So then your system, like system design, I think is like, there's a lot of issues with it right now. And I think, because folks are moving really fast, and I think people just like, it's fine in some of these experiments, right? Like ENS, like, oh, God forbid the ENS experiment, like, dissolve. Now, someone's definitely gonna come at me for that. But, like, you know, I don't think that that's, like, a really high-stakes situation. Now, I think when we, you know, forecast in the future and it's like, oh, yeah, your government is on the blockchain, or, like, your money is all on, like, all of your assets are on the blockchain, like, then you have to design a system well, and, like, the onus falls on you to design with the user in mind. And I think that, like, people don't want to do that, but maybe that's, people don't want to do it, or they're just not incentivized to do it enough yet.
Yeah, I mean, all of these solutions, you know, we can call them for governance, they're all like so. Like I feel like, you know, this is like probably the first time in history, like, you know, where people were able to like design these things and have people participate in like an easier way, you know. Yeah. So there's a lot that people are still learning about what works and what doesn't work, and it's like so easy and so fast to build these things that, you know, people forget to take a step back and, you know, look at things that have worked and haven't worked in the past. So I mean, it's kind of like understandable, you know, why shit kind of fucking sucks. Yeah. It's something that'll fix itself over time, you know. Hopefully. I think, hopefully, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, hopefully. I mean, I think there's gonna be. I said this in a tweet, but I was like, I want someone to write a case study on the ENS situation, because I think there's gonna be. I think the issue will continue, and I think there's lessons to be learned, and I would hope that, because I don't think that there has been a big DAO governance beyond like the DAO hack, you know, and things like that, which like that's governance in like a very different sense of the word, I would say. It's like more technical governance than like human governance, human blockchain governance. But I think like there are a lot of lessons to be learned from this that I hope get preserved, or I hope gets folks talking, you know, in their own DAOs, in their own communities about like, well, yeah, what happens if XYZ? Or like, how do we ensure, even just like streamlined communication? Like that's something that like, for instance, like everything right now is like, I think there's something like on Snapshot, which I was like, the Snapshot. I don't know what Snapshot is, but I've seen it. Like the Snapshot. So like, I think there's information there, but all of the dialogues I've been seeing have been on Twitter. Twitter is not a documentation tool.